Here's a question from Gary. When classical teachers discuss maintaining an open throat, they often speak of avoiding constriction in the pharynx. Your MRI demo, though, seems to show that agility in the back of the tongue is equally or perhaps even more important in achieving front to back space behind the tongue. The genioglossus muscle at work? Thanks for your presentations. Very fascinating. So the question
I
is that the genioglossus muscle at work?
I don't know this name of a muscle, so I don't know exactly. But usually, constriction in the throat is related to the ring muscle. So you put the false vocal cords together.
Mm-hmm.
This is constriction, like ah. And this is not related to the tongue movement. You can move your tongue independently. And the tongue is connected to the epiglottis. So if you move your tongue to the front, your epiglottis opens. And if you go backwards, it closes. So the epiglottis might have a stronger effect even on the sound than the tongue, but you cannot see it on the MRI because it's cartilage and no bone.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. We got to get another imagery where we can watch the epiglottis move. But it's a good point. You know, it just looks like there's nothing there on the MRI, but there's actually there are a few other things there. Let me show you just a quick screen share of what this guy with the genoglossus muscle. I don't know if you can see it. It's this one right here. This part of the tongue is what he's referring to.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the most important part for L technique to create the resonance space under the tongue. I used to teach this to my student with his nose flutes. Do you know these?
I haven't used one before. Maybe you can tell us about it.
This is a flute where you blow with the air through your nose, but you don't get a sound. You get a sound only if you put this part here in front of your mouth, and then you get a resonance in your mouth, and this creates the tone. And then you can train the resonance in your mouth cave, and if you put up your tongue to L position, you can do it with a space under the tongue. And you can learn how to control the pitch with your space. It's exactly what you need for overtone singing. So this is a very nice tool for this. And you also can use it to have fun by changing the resonance chambers quickly.
Hey, I can. You're gonna get people going into the woods calling birds with that. That's amazing. I love that. So that I think it's really fascinating what you said that this is a tool, obviously, but to learn to controlling the resonance chamber, the formant chamber here, and also in the back. And I think the other part of the question is really saying that the classical singers talk about an open throat, and I've experienced this that a lot of them believe they're not moving anything back here at all because they're trying to keep it open.
Yeah.
But open throat is really a description of what it feels like when there's no tension back here. But it's always moving, right?
Most people don't have a feeling for the pharynx part of the tongue. This is probably because this part of the tongue is very young. It was only invented by nature a couple of 100,000 years ago, maybe 200,000 or 300,000 years ago, and we are only now starting feeling it. You can test it if you do this kind of sound, e e, very sharp e. How does it feel, the space? Do you feel a wide space in your pharynx? then you actually feel your tongue. But if you have the feeling E is something small, then you have an impression of what is here, but it's not the physically right impression. And this shows that you still are developing from Stone Age to modern times. But if you start overtone singing, then you do the next step in evolution. You start controlling this new invention of nature. And maybe if we more control our tongue and our resonances instead of talking too much, then we get on a new level of communication in general. There's
Right.
one fascinating thing. If you copy the tongue position in the pharynx of some people by copying their sound, exactly their sound, you can feel how they feel. This is kind of communication. It's empathic listening.
Oh, I think that's very fascinating because there are universal facial expressions.
Hmm.
No matter where you go in the world, there are seven universal facial expressions if you can communicate with those facial expressions. But I personally believe that it's really important for singers to learn how to connect emotionally and layer their sound production, their voice, with emotions because, and this is it kind of goes along with what you're saying, the listener, their brain will automatically hear that frequency spectrum, like we were talking about, the overtones, the fundamentals, the harmonics, and without really needing the words, feel the emotion.
Yeah.
It's super fascinating, and that's why I believe, even if you don't understand the language, you hear opera. Opera's in how many languages, right? Or you hear another singer from another country, you still feel the emotion. So it's so important, this connection, isn't it?
Yeah, and it goes to a different level if you start understanding the new part. This is really the newest invention. When we do this when we start as children. I can show you one. Maybe I find it quickly. I have a picture how the pharynx looks in a baby. It's completely different. It looks like a monkey. We are born as monkeys, and then we turn into Homo sapiens with about 1.5 or 2 years. A moment. Yes, here it is. Um, I share my full screen for a moment, so it's easier to find. Um, this is a human, and this is a monkey. So you see, um, the epiglottis is touching the uvula here. So there's no pharynx tongue, or a very short pharynx tongue. And then about 200,000 years ago, the whole throat moved down. This part of the bone went inside, and then we started walking upright. So this is somehow connected, walking upright and a lowered throat. And then we have this space where we share air, breathing air, and food. So this has to be much quicker and much more flexible here in order to avoid swallowing food into your lungs than here. And now the baby looks like this here. This is a newborn human without a pharynx tongue and a throat like a monkey. So this human being can breathe and drink at the same time.
Huh, amazing.
And when we are adults, or this starts lowering with about 2 years. And this is exactly the moment when the baby starts walking, going upright. And then we have this space, and we cannot swallow and breathe at the same time anymore. But we can start producing completely new set of sounds, which is controlled by a big part of our brain. So we need a lot of energy in our brain to control this. But it was worth it, obviously, because we survived the last 200,000 years.
Yeah, thank goodness it was worth it. No, that's fascinating. I've never seen those comparisons, but very fascinating. Also fascinating the connection with upright movement and speech development, kind of all happen at the same time.